Welcome to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host, from In Hindsight, Nathan Heintz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go!
Everybody in the chat, what's going on, guys? Everybody tuning in, everybody that's going to be seeing this video after it's over. Welcome back, everybody, to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast. We're on episode 42. And as you can see, we got a whole crew. It's not Daniel and Nathan this week, guys. We got a whole crew. You can't even see the background of the video here because everybody's taking up the space. And it's good to see. It's good to see us all have four people in here, round table talk, and everything like that. We got Daniel as usual. We got a returning Mark from Steelers Nation Australia who is back on the show. And we got Devin, who was on the show at some point last year. Devin from the Here We Go show. Guys, thank you all for being here. It's going to be a fun video. It's going to be a fun live stream. How we all doing today, guys? Devin, how you doing out there in California?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Making changes to my life for the better. Feeling good.
Yeah,
feeling good.
That's good, man. That's what it's all about. So we're glad you're feeling good. We're glad you're doing good. Thank you for being on the show this week, man. Mark, how have you been? It's been a while since you've been on the show.
I'm all right, but I hear Devin's been getting that Riz over there. He's got that new. I check his Twitter every day, and he's like got the Riz happening. So he might have more Riz than Boswell. Yeah,
a lot of things happening.
That's what I hear every time I say, like, oh, who's he dating now? Who's he going with now? You'll be with celebrity soon, Devin.
We'll see. Maybe.
Right? Here's the question: does Devin have more Riz than the Rizard of Boswell?
I can't say I do. I think that's an unreachable level of Riz.
Daniel, how you doing out there, man?
I'm doing good. I don't even know what the hell Riz is, but it's
it's like charisma. It's like the new word for like charisma. I haven't got it. I left mine in Canada. Mine's in Canada, man. It's gone. Like, it's not here.
I thought it was like that cheese that's on the cracker or something.
Cheese Riz.
Yeah. I got them too.
Well,
I don't know. I got some of that.
It seems like all three of you guys have the Riz.
I didn't even know it.
Yeah. Well, to all you guys in the chat, again, thank you all for tuning in. You guys can put your thoughts and comments, questions as the show gets on. We'll get to it. But talking about, guys, as you can see in the thumbnail and the title, we know the Steelers schedule came out last week. And that was a really big talking point for that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to give some of our early thoughts on the upcoming season, maybe expectations, record predictions, maybe what we think how certain guys are going to do. We can talk about, we might get into some of the other AFC North and just really kind of what we think about the division as a whole. But I think we can speak for all of us where we're excited about this season, right?
Oh, for sure.
Not really. I mean, no. Yes, we're very excited.
Are you more excited for last year or this year?
Oh, this year.
Yeah.
This year. Oh my God. So. Like last year's draft was something, but then look, I was already excited for this year, but then the draft happened. Way better draft than I could have ever expected.
Yeah.
Excited.
Oh yeah. It was like a fantasy draft almost, like a fantasy mock draft.
Yeah.
Todd, what's up, man? Appreciate you tuning in.
I've been saying that it was like a draft where you turn off the other players or whatever and just pick whoever you want. It was insane.
Yeah, no, it really was, and that's something that will kind of collaborate into really what we're talking about. So, when we look at the schedule right now, guys, and we'll just kind of go one at a time here, and I'll start with Mark since he's in the right hand corner here on the screen. When we look at the schedule that came out, was there anything, Mark, that you, when you looked at it, did you view it as an easier schedule where there's some games that stood out to you that you think could maybe be some roadblocks? Was there a tough stretch, an easy stretch you think that will really benefit the Steelers? this year. They have an early bye week. We know they open up at home against the Niners. What'd you think about the schedule when it got released?
Yeah, I got a few points. So with the schedule, I was a bit down on the bye. I thought the bye was in a bad spot, but the more I look at it, and more I was talking about Peveril about it, from TDU, I came to the conclusion that it's not a bad bye at all, because if you go hard in the paint, right, and you can get 5-1, get a good bye, you can reset. Then you can also have some time off to then go out to LA the Rams, which, man, the Rams, they're like my number one, maybe number two hated team now, because the Rams are meant to represent Australia, which freaking sucks. I don't know why, because maybe we're the closest one there. I can't stand them, mate. I think they're just a nothing team. They sold out for the Super Bowl. I think we've got a big chance to win that game when Steele turns up. Then I think as well, right? So from the bye, you have 5 games, 3 home and 2 in Ohio. That's not much trouble in 5 games.
Right.
So realistically, the bye isn't too bad. Yes, you'll be banged up in those games, in the 3 home games, but the more I looked at it, you're staying in Ohio and you're staying in Pennsylvania for about a month and a half. So that to me is a win out of this. And then of course, the rest goes on and you start to verse the Seahawks and the Bengals near the end. But I'm pretty happy with it. This year, if you're not excited to be a Steeler fan this year, turn it off. Not this channel, but I'm seriously, don't watch. I don't want to hear anything about, if we're down by 10 points in the first game, fire this, fire that guy. It's just going to, just run out the season, because what Omar Khan, the Rooneys, Tomlin, all these guys have done is turn this whole team around. The offensive line has changed now completely in 2 years. And we all yelled that. So the minute we start running the ball, if I hear any pass it, with my head, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what Steel fans do. But really exciting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the draft happened, all these things happened. And the schedule, the way it is, hopefully you're versing 3 rookie quarterbacks. Mike Tomlin's got a good record against rookie quarterbacks. So there's a thing. So it's not as bad as you think. When you look through it again, you're versing San Fran at the start. Come on, man. They don't even know who their quarterback is. And they beat the Bills. They beat the Bengals. They count them out every year. The Steelers show up week 1, and we get the win that way.
Okay.
Always happens.
Yeah. I was, and before I get to you guys, I was thinking maybe that I think Daniel and we did a show, and we predicted the opening game. I said the Titans. Wasn't that our show?
Yeah.
Yeah. I said the Titans. And did you say the Browns?
I said the Jaguars.
You said the Jags. Okay.
I said the Browns. I was in the chat.
So you said the Browns. So we were all way off on that. When it comes to the Niners, though, I don't know. I kind of like it, just in the sense where they can really start off with a bang, if that makes sense. If Niners are tough, that we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. But Devin, didn't you say you're going to that game?
I am going to that game. Got my tickets the day of. I'm excited.
That'll be sick, dude. That'll be sick. Weather should be good too. So I don't know, really kind of what Mark was talking about. You share the same kind of thought process on their schedule this year. It's definitely better than what it was last year. And when you look at the kind of slate of quarterbacks they'll be going up against, it's a lot more favorable than what they had last year on their schedule. But is there anything on it that stuck out to you, or do you feel like it's kind of paced pretty well overall in terms of their opponents, home, away, travel, stuff like that?
Is that for me or Mark?
That was for you.
For you, Devin. That's for you.
Oh, my fault.
Is it for me?
The question?
Yeah. No, that one's for you. This one's all yours.
So, give me a rundown of that question real quick. I kind of tuned out when I heard Mark's name.
No, you're good. You're good. So going off of really kind of adding on to what Mark said, you said you're going to the Niners game. Is there anything that you saw? Are you pretty pleased with their schedule? Because this is a schedule that seems a lot lighter than what it was last year. And when you go through the list of quarterbacks they're going to have to face, it seems like it's a little bit of a weight off the shoulders in the sense of what they had last season. So was there anything on it that stuck out to you? Do you think this is a favorable schedule? You think this is one that that can benefit them a lot, or just kind of maybe where all the teams are paced out throughout the schedule?
Oh, yeah. No, I before the draft, I like the schedule, right?
Yeah.
Look, I have an optimistic viewpoint on the season as it is. Like, obviously, we're not going 17-0.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'll say there ain't a team on here we can't beat.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Right.
I hear you.
we could beat every one of these teams. Will we? Probably not, especially with one Matt Canada. But, who's the biggest threat at quarterback this season, right? Joe Burrow, awesome. We've beaten him before, but other than him, you're facing Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, maybe. Mm-hmm. Matt Stafford, maybe.
What about Jackson? He's got 6,000 yards. Look out. Look out.
Yeah, 6,000 rushing yards. What you talking about?
Imagine that.
Oh, God, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, he's gonna get 6,000 yards in all 3 games he plays this year. Shoot.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
No, yeah, I have a pretty favorable outlook on the schedule. Yeah. Like, I think the AFC North got pretty lucky with the schedule. Like, who do we have this year? The NFC West. Who's the most threatening team? San Francisco. We got the AFC South, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Who's the Colts gonna have? Anthony Richardson. He might be good. I don't know yet, but it's a pretty favorable looking schedule, especially for our team.
Yeah, it is. It's nice to kind of have a little bit of that from what it seems like it's kind of been the last 2 years. Daniel, what about you? When you saw this schedule come out, was there anything that you were surprised by, or like what are maybe some games, even like their primetime games? Are you pleased with their slot of primetime games? What do you think?
Yeah, well, first I want to say the reason why the Rams are the Australian team is because a ram is basically a dingo with horns, and so I think that's the whole purpose behind that.
There's no fans here. That's the thing. There's let alone no Australian fans, and like Rams fans. I've seen none of them. Like, it's just a joke, absolute joke. They're trying to sell us the Rams. Actually, a Rams fan from Australia and the Eagles got a chance to go on the stage to call out the draft pick. Like, it's not a way to promote the game. It's, by the way, Australia, you get one team and no one else. Pisses me off. It's annoying.
Go for the horn dingoes. Anywho, for me, I thought it was. It's all right. I don't think that there's any kind of stretch of games that look daunting like you had last season. You had like their hard schedule, like all together right in the middle. With this game here, I mean, I think that their most difficult stretch is going to be the fact that 3 out of the last 4 games are on the road. Mm-hmm. Going into the playoffs, hopefully the Pittsburgh Steelers are in prime position to make a push. That's going to be kind of, not favorable. You kind of want to have some more home games at home, especially at the end of the season. In Pittsburgh, you have that weather as a factor and as a plus for the team. And so they're not going to be able to utilize that only against Cincinnati in the last month, which I think I'm going to be at that game. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided which game I'll be going to. But I will be going I'm going to the Houston game because it's not too far away. And I'm also going to be going to the Vegas Raiders game just because it's Vegas.
Flying out to Vegas. You can put some money on the money line.
Maybe.
Daniel's gonna be spending $600 on some nosebleed tickets. Shoot.
No, actually, I got some pretty decent tickets because my wife's aunt is a season ticket holder there. Okay. And gave me tickets at cost now. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm in the lower level, near the end zone, not in the end zone like my tickets are, but they're near the end zone, kind of towards the corner.
It's going to be a sea of Steeler fans that game.
Do you get the same benefits that Jimmy used to get over there, or
Jimmy who?
Doesn't Jimmy Garoppolo get the same benefits in Raiders? Do you get that?
What do you?
Someone got it.
I got it. Shoot.
I didn't say it very well, though. I said that you get the same benefits as Jimmy.
Yeah. Jimmy's going to be getting some very favorable matchups over in Vegas.
I'm only joking.
He's going to like it out there.
Sorry, Steelers fans. Sorry,
Deshaun.
Oh yeah, imagine our teammates. Those two, they'd be a good duo, wouldn't they?
Who?
Jimmy and Deshaun.
Oh yeah, man, that would be a power tandem.
Yeah, they'd be a lethal tandem. Well, Daniel, it's pretty cool that you're going to that you have plans on going to that. Now, quick question here: you had your child, correct?
Yes, sir. Just a couple days ago. She'll be a week on Thursday.
Well, congratulations,
Daniel.
Daniel.
She walking yet? She got the swinging a terrible towel. What?
She's wrapped in them. She can't swing them yet, but she gets wrapped in
Can't
it.
swing them yet. What did you decide to name her?
Her name's Rogan Page.
Rogan Page.
Yeah, I'm just glad she didn't go through the the draft, because a lot of the guys on Steel Curtain Network were trying to convince me that if she was born the night of the draft, that I had to name her after the draft pick, and I don't think Broderick would be the best
that
name
would be quite ideal
for a little girl. I'm not sure she'd be well liked in school.
Probably not. I think you set her up for misery.
Yeah. So we went with Rogan Page.
It's a cute name, man. Well, congratulations on that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a little bit tiring. More so for my wife. She's
how hard was your hand squeezed?
It wasn't. We had a C-section, so it was it was pretty we got a time to be in there. Got in there. They cut her open, which I didn't faint. I thought I would when I looked over the curtain at one point. I shouldn't have. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I recommend if you guys are ever in that situation, just wait till you hear the baby crying before you look over.
Holy cow! You got to give kudos to them, man. It's crazy what they do. Crazy what those doctors do.
I thought you meant the women, what they do. You know what I'm saying? What they do.
Well, hey, what they do too. What they go through too. It's unbelievable.
There's no way I could do that. Like, I'm so lucky I'm a man. Like, I could not do that. I saw these movies in year 6. In year 6, they're awful. It's like, and by the way, here's this. Whoa, just something out of a sci-fi movie.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, man. It was getting to the point where like you can see like my daughter, like when my wife was still pregnant, like when she would move, you could see it. It's like, man, that's freaky.
The hand like on the belly.
Well, like the arm and the leg.
Oh, that's out of that's like out of a sci-fi movie, man.
Yeah. I felt bad for her. I was like, man, that looks painful. That looks painful. Like, I mean, that's not even the start of it.
Well, you know what's more painful is Mason Rudolph coming back. Am I right?
Yeah. We can get into that. How are we feeling? How are we feeling about Mace the Ace being back?
Mace the Ace, I like it.
I heard he was going to be number 7. I'm just kidding. No, he's not.
Imagine he's listed number 0.
Please do that. I would love that for the internet.
Number 7.
I don't know what number he's going to be. I know that Tanner Morgan's number 2 already. So who knows?
He's number 2 for now. See, here's my question, because obviously we see teams all the time or players all the time have the same numbers throughout training camp. It wouldn't shock me if Mason was still number 2, but who knows? What if he comes back freaking number, I don't know, 7? Why not? F it.
Yeah.
7's gone.
Why not? Why not at this point?
I mean, look what they did with Kendrick Green and gave him 53 right after Pouncey.
Hey, that's a way to make Mason piss Ben off even more.
The Steelers media should do that. They should just joke around and do that and just try and really rile the Steelers up, the Steelers fans up. I wouldn't bother me that much. I'd be like, whatever, it's just a number.
Look, if 2's not available, I mean 12's available, right?
Dude, somebody needs to do a deep fake like of him being introduced.
That would be incredible.
Oh man, everybody in Steelers Nation would be going nuts. God, not in a good way.
They would hate him even more for no reason. There'd be even more fuel to the fire. Like, I'm okay with him coming back. I think it's probably a good move bringing him back. I got a question for you guys though. Why people say he wasn't called by other teams? Surely in 2 months, other teams reached out to him. Surely something happened. But like, there can't be nothing.
I mean,
I don't know. I mean,
he got benched for Duck at one point.
You're no one called him at all. Not even like a Colts guy or someone like that, or a Jag or someone said, "Hey, do you want to come over?" And they worked.
I could see it. I could see it where no one really reached out.
I don't know, man. I just think if I'm taking bets, I'm going to say at least someone called. At least one team called and said, "Hey, what's
Maulers.
up?"
Maulers. Stay in Pittsburgh. Homegrown talent.
Why do you think though we care so much about quarterback number 3 though? When I was growing up, we didn't care about quarterback number 3.
You know what, Mark? I made this analogy over on Twitter. Maybe I forgot if I actually posted it. The Steelers, in terms of the NFL world, have first world problems. We got to worry about who our quarterback 3 is. The Browns, they got third world NFL problems. They got to worry about winning Super Bowls first.
Yeah,
we got better things to worry about.
Yeah,
I don't know. I never worried about like in 2004. I looked at that was Brian St. Pierre. I never worried about him when I was watching the game. I just watched the game for Ben. It's amazing. So I don't. It's good though. Good. It's good backup. It's good depth. That's all I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Mitch is obviously the Planet backup still right now, but they have a couple bodies out there for camp. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't necessarily think it's even a guarantee that he'll stay on that he makes the team, but probably likely they'll probably keep the 3 they had last year. Which there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with bringing him back.
Has the numbers come out on his contract yet?
No,
I don't think so.
I haven't seen.
No.
Did he even sign yet?
For cheap.
I don't even think the signing is official yet, right?
No. I think what is today?
Because today's when he's actually
just
visiting.
flying out like sometime this week, and then I don't know.
What if it never happens? What if Filipponi's wrong and he's never coming? But I did see a text though. A text from from another bloke. Well, they could have wrote his name in there. So
yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't really think there was really much of a market for him at all. So sticking around as QB3, whatever. I don't really think anybody should ultimately really care too much. What about, speaking of signings, what about Quan Alexander? There's been no news yet on him being signed. I think he flew out for a visit yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
There's been no word about how it went. Did he walk away? Did he get a contract pending on the physical? Devin, how much do you think Quan Alexander would bring to the inside linebacker group?
Honestly, I've never watched a single snap of him playing. I know he was on the Jets. He was on the Bucks, right?
Yeah, played for the Niners also. So he's been around for a few teams. I think that he would give him a little bit more versatility. He definitely would be a better option in terms of pass coverage than the other two that they have. But he can hit you hard too, and the Steelers like that. Jets fans seem to like him a lot. So hey, if they like what he can bring to the table, and they can add to the inside linebacker group, why not? Right? Why not?
Yeah, I mean, who do we got? Landon Roberts, Cole Holcomb. Yeah. Cool. No, I mean, as of right now, they're not necessarily stars. Not that Quan Alexander would be, but definitely need depth there. Shoot, we didn't address that in the draft.
Yeah, hardly. No, they didn't, and they definitely need that. So going into this season, where do you think, Daniel, the Steelers sit when it comes to the division as a whole? Do you think now the division is competitive? This can be a very competitive division this season. But where do you think they sit compared to some of the other teams?
I mean, going into the season, probably, number 2 or 3 in the division. I think that you're looking at the Bengals being number 1, and until the Steelers go in there and show them up and show that it takes more than beating them when it comes down to them having a long snapper away from beating the Steelers after having lost 5 turnovers. Going in there and doing what they need to do and showing up that they're for real. You can't put them above anybody just based on potential on the draft and the free agency class that they got. They still got to put it together. I think they're in competition for that number 2 spot with the Ravens. I'm not too high on the Browns at all. I know a lot of people are saying that with Deshaun Watson, him having a full offseason, a full year under his belt, blah blah blah.
Nobody's afraid.
His best season, I think, with the Texans was like a season they went like 3-5
and 12. It was his last season before he was out of the league.
That was his best one, 5-12.
Yep.
And here we are worried about Pickett being 9-8. I can't handle the NFL. I can't handle the NFL. I didn't even know that.
Dude, Brown fans are the only fans that like each and every year say it's our year. I've never seen anything like it for a
Cowboys
organization that's accomplished nothing. I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy.
You're right though with the Cowboys because they paid Dak the money and they don't do anything either. Like they get to the playoffs and they allow Zeke to snap the ball by himself and get run over. It's a joke. I didn't know that. So his best season is 5 wins, and here we are complaining that Kenny Pickett won't be the guy or couldn't have a chance to be.
Well, he's had more wins than that as a team collectively, but his individual team statistically, his individual performance, the best one was when his team went 5-12. So they were playing from behind a lot. Yeah, they were playing from behind a lot, and I think that probably had a lot to do with padding the stats, so to speak.
Off his stats. I thought you meant like overall. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, last season he went 3-3 and 58% completion, looked like complete trash, and somehow CBS Sports put him in the top 10 of quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
I saw him throw a ball dead set into the ground. Like it was like right into the ground with open receiver. I was like, this guy hasn't got no more. He's missed out in 2 years of football.
Yeah. Even when he was, so I've seen him play live once as a member of the Browns and once when he was a member of the Texans. It was the game in which was it Vince Williams went and laid down next to Hopkins in the end zone. Yeah, I was at that game. Like,
that's pretty great.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was fun. I didn't really see a difference in his quarterback play. I saw the same guy. You know, he didn't look like he took a lot of time off. He looked like he was who he is, a guy that can move around the pocket, a guy that can make some people miss, be slippery in certain situations. Reasons why are up for debate, but he does get out of the pocket. He avoids tackles, and sometimes when you're able to do that, you can find an open guy down the field. You know, he was doing that with Cleveland against the Steelers in that last game. It was like, they kept missing him, and they wouldn't. They had a few sacks on him, and it got to the point where, Cam Hayward made sure he was on the ground, ended up getting a penalty for it, even though I thought that was a completely BS roughing the passer penalty, but it is what it is. And so, I don't think the Browns are going to be a team that's going to be in contention. Even the Bengals, they lost their 2 starting safeties. I think that's going to be huge for their team. Their team isn't just Joey Burrow in the offense. They have a pretty stout defense. So when you take out those 2 safeties there, I think that could lead to some trouble, especially now that the Pittsburgh Steelers have some weapons, as like a Darnell Washington that can be a mismatch nightmare. I mean, can you imagine, Mike Hilton lining up against Darnell Washington to cover him in the slot?
See you later, dude. See you later.
I mean, that's what you want. You want Darnell Washington on a Mike Hilton. And let's throw the ball up and see who comes down with it.
Yeah. No, I hear you, dude. If you're a fan and you're telling me that Zadarius Smith was the missing piece, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. Like, that's pretty embarrassing. I don't really think – here's the thing with the Browns. If I'm a Browns fan, I think there's some reason to be optimistic. But the same point, you have to limit your optimism because nothing's really – you look at the last 4 years for the Browns. They've said each and every year, finally, like, we're going to be a playoff team, right? From when they drafted Baker up till – now, and they've never put it together. So you have to kind of start showing people first before you can really say anything and ultimately be fully optimistic about something. So there's no denying they have good talent. There's no denying that if what they're building toward ever comes to fruition, that they can have a good thing. But you got to put it on the field, and there's still things about them that I don't like compared to what us or the Ravens or the Bengals have ultimately. And Browns are the Browns at the end of the day. So you can do all these things as an organization, but when you're a bad culture and you're ran terribly as an organization, you can never figure it out with a coach or anything like that. It's hard to find success on a consistent basis. It's just not going to happen. So, Mark, let me ask you this. With kind of what I asked Daniel, about where he thinks the Steelers kind of fit here in terms of going into the season, not prediction wise, not how you think they're going to finish or end up as the year goes on. But what I asked Daniel with about kind of where he kind of fits the Steelers in, do you fit them in kind of the same type of way, maybe interchangeable with the Ravens there?
Yeah, I think if Kenny Pickett gets a headband like Joe Burrow, I think we win the North. Like, have you seen that photo? It's punchable. It's almost like you want to pick that photo up. Oh man, that's fantastic. Take it around. You want to kick it in the dirt. Like, if he gets a headband, we're sweet. That's all we need at the moment.
Yeah,
that's true.
No, it really is. So at least Kenny has better hair. At least we can ultimately say that. So
I'm not worried this year, man. Like Daniel said, the Bengals have lost a few players. They probably should have won the Super Bowl a few years ago. Had a chance, right? So they're obviously falling away. They still have a chance this year. Steelers will keep up with them. They got lucky. They missed the field goal. Minka blocked the one. We won week 1. We lost by 7 the other time, and the Bengals, They're a good side, and even though I hate them so much, but they're a good side, and the Steelers, I think, can go toe-to-toe this year. We got a better running game, better offensive line. It's now going to be Kenny in year 2 and Joe Burrow in year 4 or whatever it is. And yeah, he's I don't know, man. He's got a smug face, so I reckon. You know what, man? You know what I trust the most out of anything with versus Bengals? TJ likes to hit Burrow. He loves it. Have you seen when he hit him?
Oh, like, you can just see it.
He loves it, man. And when you have that, when a player likes that little personal vendetta against a team or against Burrow, he's picked him off 3 times in his career. He chased him down on a block and went after him. Like, you like to see that. That's going to turn you into some wins. And Minka too. Minka got a pick as well, a few picks from him too. So I think we're 1-2. I think it's 1-2. I think the Browns and Ravens will fight for 4th. And I think we're going to fight for 1 and 2 around maybe 12 wins. I think 12 wins gets it, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah, fair enough. And as we get toward more close to the show, like we'll kind of put our final predictions out there. Devin, how confident are you? What's that?
So my bad. I got to go soon anyway, but my bad.
No. You can put your when you're ready to go. You can kind of put your full on predictions out there, Mark, and stuff like that. Just let us know, man. Just let us know. Devin, how confident are you with the new rookies coming in? Darnell, Broderick Jones, Joey Porter. Let's kind of focus on those 3. Even Keanu Benton. Are you confident in all of them being productive and adding to this group this year? Who do you think might start right away, or who might make some time? How do you feel about those 4 guys making an impact this season?
I feel more certain Broderick Jones is going to start right away, just because offensive line is a position like we saw last year, right? We brought in James Daniels, brought in Mason Cole, and they didn't really start to gel together till the back half of the season. Mm-hmm. And you have to imagine, at least somewhat, that there's going to be, I guess, kind of a repeating of history there this year with Broderick Jones being added into there, because left tackle is one of the most important positions in football in general, but especially on the line. You got to imagine there's going to be a learning curve there, I think. So my question is, how will that impact the running game, passing game? But I still think that Broderick Jones has to start day 1. You know, you traded up to get him. Like, hey, we're clearly replacing you, Dan Moore. You know, got to get him in there right away so that they can start to gel together as quickly as possible. And then Joey Porter Jr., I think will maybe not necessarily be cornerback 1 day 1, but I mean, possibly, I don't know. What can you do? Like, what was his strength at Penn State? It was man coverage, press man coverage. There's not too much, I guess, cognition that goes into that. Hey, go guard that man specifically. You know, he could do that day 1, maybe. I don't know. I think Broderick Jones starts day 1. I think Joey Porter's going to see, if not start, he's going to see a lot of action day 1, I think. And then Keanu Benton, maybe he's that. Will he start day 1? I don't know. Like, who's our starting nose tackle right now? Is it what's his name?
Montrevious Adams.
Montrevious Adams. Yeah, who knows? Maybe Ben starts week 1 this year. I don't know. But Darnell Washington, I think, is going to see a lot of time day 1 just because it's too much of a mismatch for who are you going to put on him?
For sure.
Slot corner, middle linebacker. I don't know. I don't know how you guard him. I'm more excited for Darnell in the blocking, and to be honest, helping out with, because I'd imagine you line him up on the left side of the line, you know, kind of help out with Broderick Jones being a rookie, if that makes sense. I'm just throwing ideas out there, bouncing it off the wall, but I think Broderick starts day 1. I think Joey Porter's going to see a lot of time, if not start day 1. Keanu Benton, maybe not start day 1. I don't know. Darnell Washington, him too. He'll be fun to watch right away.
So you think that all 4, that at least at some point this season, all 4 will not necessarily counting Washington. Like, we know that they're going to hopefully use him in a lot of different ways. But you think that at some point this year, pretty much all of them will be starters. 3 out of those 4, not counting Washington.
Yeah, probably. I'd imagine. So, you're starting nose tackles Montrevious Adams.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you listen to what Keanu Benton's saying, talking about how he uses wrestling skills in football to get in terms of getting leverage, balance, and stuff like that. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Can you let Zach know that Steve McLendon hasn't played since 2015?
Oh, he knows. He's just trolling.
What's he doing, mate?
Yeah, he's just trolling. He's for those in the chat, if you don't know, Z is a Ravens fan, so
he's a Lamar guy. They're going 6,000 yards.
He's a Lamar guy, and it's funny because he was anti-Lamar over the offseason, wanting Lamar to just kick the tires and be ready to move on from. But then the guy's popping champagne when Lamar signs his contract for 5 years. So
wait, let's go.
Yeah, so he's a little bit of a hypocrite. Mr. Unholy, to answer your question, since you guys re-signed Mason Rudolph, what's going to happen to Trubisky? I think the thing with that is I don't really think anything's going to happen with him. I think they're going to keep him.
Yes,
you guys think Mitch is going to? You guys think Mitch is going to stay as the backup?
I think so, unless there's like an injury somewhere else and somebody calls with a pretty awesome trade of some sort. I think if that doesn't happen, then I think he's going to end up being on the team.
Yeah,
at least this season.
Yeah.
I think Trubisky sticks around. To be honest, like, look, a lot of people hate him, and I think it's solely because of that. Obviously, what happened early in the season, and then when he got a shot again versus the Ravens, threw 3 interceptions. Honestly, the 3 interceptions didn't. It pissed me off, right? It pissed me off. Mm-hmm. We had a shot to win that game, and 3 picks can't happen. But he did make a lot of good plays in that Ravens game. He kept the boat afloat in the Panthers game. You know, played solid. I like him as a backup. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's a good guy, good leader. Even I don't want him starting.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Him. God, no.
No, I like Trubisky. Not necessarily as a quarterback.
I think as a high-end backup in the league, he's fine.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of where he's serviced at. So going off the rookies, Daniel, let me ask you this. I know that you were, and I'm gonna ask you this because you were anti-Pickett early on in the season, and then as the second half of the season went on, you started to kind of switch your gear a little bit toward him. How confident are you in Kenny heading in the upward trajectory in year 2?
Yeah, I thought he did pretty well last season, you know, given everything that was going on. You know, my biggest concern about him last season was the fact that he was throwing interceptions, you know, early on in his career. And then the production just wasn't there as far as the ball down the field, leading receivers, things like that. And then when you interject that with some decision-making that he was making early on that led to some of those interceptions, it was a little bit of a concern. But, you know, I realized that, you know, they went through a daunting part of their season at the early portion of his career. And so I wanted to see what would happen throughout the remaining portion. And I had said it, you know, the Steelers ended up going, you know, like 5-4, 5-5 down the stretch, something like that. And then I thought that it was that was a good look, you know, for him to go 7-2 was, you know, passing any expectations that I would have had. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, we want to see more of the ball into the end zone type of situation. You know, he still ended up the season with more interceptions than touchdowns and things of that nature. But, you know, going into season 2, if he can make that jump and they can get all those things put together, I think he's going to have a fantastic career for the Steelers. Uh-huh. You know, but we got to see what happens. You know, I'm hopeful. I'm positive. I mean, I'm looking in the right direction when it comes to Kenny Pickett. And I think the guy can win some games. He can be gritty and he can win those games. In fact, he has, I think, some Hall of Fame memorabilia in the Hall of Fame. I think it's the couple of footballs he threw at the end of those 2 games, because I think he's the only rookie quarterback to throw 2 games back-to-back, have game-winning drives at the end of the game. And so, you know, he's got that it factor. He's got that, you know, that will to win. I think that it's gone. This offseason's done wonders for him as far as size goes. He looks like he's gotten like noticeably bigger. I've seen him in a couple of interviews and some clips have came out of him throwing the ball in Florida and things of that nature. And he looks noticeably bigger. The ball looks like it's traveling and popping off of his hand faster and quicker. Mm-hmm. You know, so if he can just kind of get all those things together, you know, another season with Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator. I know a lot of people don't like him and will grab and complain, but you know, you have to look at it realistically. Last year, that offense was tailor-made for Mitch Trubisky. They did everything that they possibly could to get Mitch Trubisky ready, which included limiting the amount of snaps that Kenny Pickett had with the first team during training camp, during preseason, things of that nature. And it wasn't until the benching that they put in Mitch. And, you know, I know everybody wants an open playbook and thinks that, you know, it's Madden where you can just have the playbook turned on and everybody knows where they're going to be and how they're going to be. And that's just not necessarily true. And given the teams that Kenny Pickett was playing, Buffalo, Miami, the Eagles, Tampa Bay's defense at the time, you really couldn't open up that playbook with him being as inexperienced and unprepared as he had been. You kind of had to keep it simple, limit the plays and things of that nature. And I think that had a lot to do with why, the playbook wasn't as imaginary as that we would all would have hoped. Plus, also you had an offensive line that, although was improving, especially in the running game, was still struggling in the passing game, in the passing blocking instance. And so, ball had to come out quicker. Kenny would have gotten sacked a lot more times last season if it wasn't for what he was able to do with his legs inside of the pocket. And, those type of things are, positives and pluses. And now that you have a big, beefier offensive line, maybe perhaps an offensive line that can block without utilizing so much help, you can be a little bit more imaginative, and he doesn't have to worry about the pressure so much up in his face, and he can just kind of focus in on what's going on downfield. I for one, think that's going to be everything's kind of set in stone for him to have a great year too. Yeah. Now it's just time for him to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all we can do is hope. He's got to be the one that puts on the field. If Daniel, if you could give us a early prediction stat line for Kenny this season, what would you say?
Well, I think they're going to utilize the run quite a bit. And so I would like to see something around maybe, 22 to 25 TDs, try to keep those interceptions below 10. I think that'll be great. Somewhere around the 3,000 yards passing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really encouraged with him at the end, the second half of the season, and big reason why I have optimism about him going into the second year. So Mark, flipping sides of the ball here. Are you still good right now? Are you still okay?
I'll answer this question, and I'll give you guys a question to when I leave. If that's cool.
All right. That's good.
Got a good one for you.
All right. Excited to hear it. So we'll see if it's better than this one. Which it probably will, just knowing you. But
there's a lot of hype now in this question. Both questions, actually. Really, there's a lot of hype. A lot of Mason hype.
You're on the seat right now, so I want a good answer here.
All right.
I want a good answer. When you look at the Steelers' defense, the other side of the ball, last year, the first half of the year, they weren't good. We know Watt was out. We know there were a couple other guys banged up, but they weren't good. They weren't good. Nobody was stepping up. Anything like that. The second half of the year, they got a lot better. TJ was back. Guys were healthier. Sack production was going up. They led the league in interceptions, and their points allowed per game was hitting quite an area you'd like it to hit. When we look at this defense, Z, if you're talking about the Ravens defense, yes. When we look at the Steelers defense, Edmonds gone. Cam Sutton's gone. We know that they replaced them. They got Pat Pete, brought in Keanu Neal. We know they revamped the entire group of inside linebackers. Do you think this defense can get back to, and as long as they're healthy, can get back to being a top 10S caliber defense? I think if everybody's healthy, they can find themselves back and leading the league in sacks again. But do you think there was any type of drop off at all with some of the guys that left, or do you think that the defense got a little bit better as the offseason went on? Again, especially with the rehauled inside linebacker. How confident are you with the defense this year? And do you think it got better, or do you think there's a little bit of a drop off?
Well, I've got inside sources because me and Pat P are friends now. He actually tweeted back to me the other day. So
did he really?
Yeah, he said, "Are you keen for the season?" I said, "I'm so keen." Yada yada yada. And then he wrote back,
"Yeah,
Lego, not Lego, like where you build the building blocks, right?
Yeah,
but Lego." And I'm like, that was 8 characters of like just brilliantness. So when you think about it, I'll tell you right now, and I'll give you a question and I'm going to head out, but I'll tell you right now, the second we see Pete do a pick 6 or an interception, no one's going to care about Sutton. And the minute we see Keanu Neal or Kazi do a big tackle, no one's going to care about Edmonds. No. So jog on those 2 blokes. See you later. No. They did really well. I like Sutton. I like those guys. I like those guys playing football. But we're not going to miss Bush. We're playing him in Seahawk land, and he wears number 0 because he's a loser. Right? He's gonna be
I saw your tweet the other day about that. I started laughing.
It's going to be easy to run through that bloke easily. And look, they brought in more guys who are more physical, I think, and we need to see them play. Sure, we need to see Holcomb play, Edwards play, Robinson needs to play more snaps, all that kind of stuff. But that's what we have the preseason for. We have the training camp. this team, of course, may take a few games to get like to it, like to, you know, the camaraderie and everyone playing together. But if you've got a healthy TJ Watt and a healthy Alex Highsmith with Minka leading the charge, and also Benton, did you see the size of that bloke, Benton? Didn't realize how big he was, mate.
Yeah,
that guy's huge. So if he can crack at it, Cam's there too. They got some pieces like that where they got some veteran guys on defense. If they're smart about it, they will be a better side than last year. Stop the middle of the field and then get out the quarterback. And then look, they're versing a lot of rookie guys too. So
yeah,
I'm fired up about it. Me and Pat P are friends. It's confirmed. Sources said it was from me and him. So, you know, like that made my day. I made my bloody day. But I'm
Mark, are you willing to buy a Pat Pete jersey for this year?
Oh, I might have to just put Lego on the back of it. Lego in 20. He wrote 8 characters, and that means a lot. You know, he's probably eating there having a beer or something. Do they drink beer in the off season? Or Kenny does, and he got yelled at too, by the way. Unbelievable. I got to go though, but I'm gonna leave you guys with this question, and I'm gonna head out because I'm gonna do a live after you guys. So when you guys finish, I'll do a live.
Yeah, absolutely.
But who's gonna? I want to leave you this guy's question because who's gonna score the first TD? Like, and then go around the room. I'll probably even be in the background.
Kendrick Green.
Kendrick Green.
Yes. Our new fullback.
You've been doing the fullback stuff. Yeah, I've been seeing that. Yeah. I'm going to leave you guys with that question. It's been awesome coming on again, saying hello. Thanks, Devin, mate.
Yes.
Thanks, Nathan. Yes. Thanks, Daniel.
Mark, thanks for hanging out, man. You know you're always welcome on the show whenever you want.
Yeah, it's a good time. Congrats, Daniel, on the little girl. That's awesome. Future little Steeler. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm just excited for this whole freaking season, man. And we need to see him play. We do. We need to see him play. We've got to see him play. But they're better than last year, and the Kabolis of the world are all saying they're going to go 8-9 the first losing season.
Dude, he's a joke. He's not even an insider. He's not even an insider. He thinks
how are you going to say the first losing season in the best off season we've seen in 10 years? Like getting player personnel, right? Yeah. So, anyways, I'm going to head out, guys. But yeah, who do you think will score the first touchdown? I'll see you later.
Okay. All right, Mark. Thank you. We'll see you, man. Thanks for coming back. All right. So there goes Mark, ladies and gentlemen. Mark. He's going to be doing his live of his own. So, guys, check out his channel at Steelers Nation Australia over there. To answer Mark's question. What's that?
He'll be jumping through a table on this.
Dude, if he doesn't do that this year, then I don't think there's any hope for it.
Let's put it out there. When you go on his live later, make sure you go, hey, we're here for you to jump through the table.
Yeah, well, where's the table at, bro?
Where's the table?
I'm going to have to look up the conversation with Pat Pete on his Twitter.
Yeah, I need to look that up too.
His new friend.
Why should be a different Patrick? It's like Patrick.
Yeah, it's a different guy. It's like a fan page or something.
It's like governor of like freaking New Mexico or something. Patrick Patterson.
It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. But Devin, to answer Mark's question, who's scoring the first touchdown?
I think it's got to be Najee. I think all odds say probably Najee, based on how we're building the line. We're going to be a stronger running game, it appears.
Yeah.
Probably Najee, I'd like to see it be a passing touchdown, but, like a nice long passing touchdown. Freaking shock the Niners, but all signs point to it being Najee, tone. I think. Yeah.
Daniel, what about you?
So for me, I also agree it's probably Najee, but to be different, quarterback sneak, Kenny Pickett.
Okay. All right.
From the 1 foot yard line, because that's kind of how it took us last season to get into.
What about if it was Darnell Washington?
Well, that would be exciting.
I think that would be pretty sweet if it was Darnell Washington. Like they're inside, like they're at the goal line or something.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that the Steelers struggled last season was a red zone, and getting it into the end zone. They ended up with three attempts for field goal. Too often last season. And so if they can get, some more touchdowns in there in the red zone and be effective, I think that would be great. When you're in the red zone, you can really do some pretty amazing things with the personnel that they have. I mean, you have Pat Freiermuth, who's probably going to be the smallest tight end on the field. I think that they're going to move Connor Hayward out to the fullback position. And so, for the most part, when they go heavy or big and maybe even 13 personnel and they have 3 tight ends on the field, you're going to have Pat Freiermuth, 6'7", Darnell Washington, 6'8", Zach Gentry on the field. You throw in Najee Harris, who's a big guy himself, and then maybe George Pickens on the outside. I mean, I think that's a nightmare matchup. You can, if the opposition comes in with their bigs, spread them out, make them cover. If they decide to, come in with their light guys, ram it down their throats. And so I feel like they're going to be a nightmare mismatch. It's just going to come down to if the offensive coordinator can utilize those players in the manner that needs to be utilized. But we'll see. Those things will be, will be told in time, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's really the big thing, I think, when we look at the Steelers offense this year is terms of points per game, red zone efficiency, stretching the ball down the field, utilizing guys like Pickens, utilizing maybe Freiermuth more in the middle of the field, stuff like that. Devin, where do you feel would be we know that there's concern with Matt Canada. He's on the last year of his contract. When you look at the Steelers offense going into the season, not your prediction necessarily, but really where do you think the offense needs to be in terms of being like points per game on an average basis to kind of look at it and say, okay, Canada's doing a pretty good job?
I want to say, I'm not going to reach and say 30, right? That seems a little too generous, but
yeah,
maybe between 25 and 30, somewhere in that range, to say, okay, you know what, we can actually win like this. Because we were barely scoring less than 20 points a game. That's unacceptable last season.
In today's league, you can't be doing that anymore.
Mm.
No. Like you can win games, sure. You can win games where you score 17 points, but on a weekly basis, if you're playing to win with your defense and your offense is only giving you 14 to 17 points a game, it ain't going to cut it.
No. Yeah, 25, between 25 and 30, that's
Are you confident that they could be a team that's maybe, when you look at them offensively, maybe a little bit middle of the pack, top 15-ish, maybe averaging around 24, 25? Are you confident in that number?
Am I confident? More so than last season, I think.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like, we have all this talent on offense. Like, this is an offense that you get them the right, I guess, coordinator, they could maybe explode. But I'm not confident that's Matt Canada.
Yeah.
My question is, can talent overcome a bad offensive coordinator? I guess we're going to learn this year,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah. I don't know either. That's really the big question.
To answer that question, though, I think that it could be because, last year, the time of possession was in the beginning of the first half of the season was greatly in favor of the opposition. And that second half of the season, once they started getting the running game going, time of possession started going in the right direction. If this team can hold the opposing team to under 20 points a game and possess the ball for, 32, 33 minutes per game and plus, and, they don't need to put a gauntlet of points up there to win and win convincingly. You limit the amount of times and opportunities that the opposite team has, and you maximize your possessions. And then I think this team can be very successful only scoring that amount of points. And I think that that's probably going to be where they're going to be at, especially early on, just because of the fact that I think they're going to be running the ball significantly. And with the acquisitions that they've had this season, I think they're going to do that very well. And so that's going to eat off a lot of time, and minimizing those possessions is going to end up equating to a smaller amount of points. But I think what's more important is the percentage of putting points on the board with possessions. And so if they're scoring on every, 3 out of every 4 drives, even if they're only putting up, 25 points or whatnot, I think that that's still in the right direction to where you want to go.
Yeah, like it's one thing.
It definitely is.
It's one thing if we're winning 17 to 14 and it looks convincing, right? It's one thing if we're winning 17 to 14, but it's because we're possessing the ball so well. Like we saw the Carolina game. What was it? Was it a 12-minute drive, or was it a 12-play drive?
There was a long-ass drive.
There was a long-ass drive versus Carolina.
12-minute drive.
Was it 12?
Yeah.
Look, if we can play like that and win 10-0, I saw in the chat, 10-0 as a strong example, and we look convincing, that's one thing, but that's not what we were doing last year. Maybe more so towards the end of the year last year, the back half of the season last year. Right. But is that realistic this year? I would hope so, but I don't think so. Like, it's one thing if you can possess the ball, but can you also stretch the field when you absolutely need to? Like, let's say we're doing this against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, for example, because Patrick Mahomes can shred you. He can take your defense down the field in 2, 3, 4 plays. We've seen him do it. Can we do that when we need to? I don't know. Like it smells like we're going to be building an offense kind of similar to the Titans where you gash someone with the running game. But is our offense going to be good enough to take the team down the field with 2 minutes left? I mean, Kenny's shown he can do it, with the game-winning drives. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And there's going to be times where them running the ball is not working, and they're going to have to adjust to that and be able to make plays down the field, be able to open up the field, be able to open it up where, okay, maybe you can start getting the run game working now, because there's going to be games where that happens, where where Harris can't be going, or where the defense is giving issues to the offensive line. So it's really one of those instances. Devin Z asked you, are the Pirates World Series contenders like I say they are?
Oh yeah, the April 2023 Pirates are World Series contenders.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, the guy's a joke.
We're not talking about May though.
Yeah, not talking about this month, but
not this month.
Yeah, I don't know. Z's one of those guys that likes teams from all over the country. So, but yeah, so I'm pretty confident about their offense treading the right direction. I still have some concerns with Canada, and ultimately, really, how much will he do with the talent they have, because they have good talent, dude. When you look at their talent from running back, receiver, tight end across the board, it's some of the best that you'll find in the league in terms of a collaborative core of guys. There's no question about that. Their offensive line got improved this offseason. So if Canada can ultimately get the offense improved and really clean up some of the problems that were there last year, then I don't know. I don't know if they would fire him middle of the year, if they would just let him go at the end of the year. But it's something where you look at it like, okay, yeah, it can be good, but you kind of see the question mark that's there with who's ultimately in control. We don't really quite know how much Tomlin kind of has in control either. We know that he said that his fingerprints are kind of involved in that, but I still have optimism. I still have excitement about it, and I hope that Canada can really sit down with these guys and really work out what wasn't working last year and really ultimately fix that. So, Daniel, when you look at, yeah, but George, I'm talking about like, dude, Z likes Baltimore and Chicago and Toronto and all this stuff like that. He's all over the place with his team. So,
I want to say this before it leaves my mind. Before it leaves my mind. I can't stand Matt Canada as an offensive coordinator, right? However, we saw towards the back half of the year, the team did get better. And one piece of optimism I have is, can we maybe pick up where we left off towards the back half of the year when the year ended? Yeah. Because if we can, I'd have a lot more optimism about the season.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do. And I said, dude, if you cannot utilize between Najee and Darnell Washington and what you've done with your offensive line, if you can't utilize that in the red zone, I don't know what to tell you at that point. I
think last season, we have to also look at what got better towards the end of the year, towards the middle of the pack. The running game got better first.
It did. It was fantastic.
The running game in the beginning of the season was piss poor. Whether it was Najee kind of trying to shake and bake people, or he was injured. He also had a plate in his foot. But a lot of it, in my opinion, also had to deal with the offensive line and the offensive line coming together and building that camaraderie and that chemistry with the running back. And so I thought that they were able to get those things down and then start to play as a collective unit, and they started to move in the right direction. The passing game, I thought, took a little bit longer, but I think there's a little bit more context behind it. And it goes back to, you started with a Mitch Trubisky, and then at the most difficult time of the season, you switched over to a rookie quarterback. I think that delayed a lot of things as far as where they wanted to be at offensively and where they wanted to be at within the playbook. They kind of had to start over in the middle of the season. And so that's why, in my opinion, after the bye week, and they were able to sit down, really go through what each other likes and dislikes when it comes to Canada and Pickett. I think we started to see that complementary passing game getting mixed in there. And so I'm super confident that that's going to at least continue at the current, if not get much better this season, because now you have an offseason tailor-made for Kenny Pickett. an offensive game plan that's going to be designed for him, not anybody else. And there's not going to be any split of reps when it comes to QB 1, 2, 3, or whatever.
Yeah.
And when it comes to training camp, mini camp, OTAs, and all that in between. And he's already had the opportunity to go out there with his receivers off, out in Florida to go throw the ball around and build that chemistry. And so I think that, there's no way there's going to be a digression, in my opinion, when it comes to that aspect of the offensive play, the passing game of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's going to be at least the same, if not better, especially with the pieces you've added. And then you have some pieces there in the offensive line. Now, those new pieces kind of have to come together. Pat Meyer's offensive line is a little bit aggressive, the way he, the way that they do their things. And this is per, Alex Kozora, he knows a little bit more than I do when it comes to this thing. But and he talked about how Pat Meyer's offensive line really wasn't working last season at the beginning of the year, but it took some time once they got accustomed to the aggressive manner in which that he teaches the position and wants that position to be played. We started to see some good things. And so, I am fully confident that this offense is going to be better. How significantly better it'll be this year will be, we'll have to see. But I don't think that there's a possibility that they're going to regress or degress.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you, man. You make valid points in terms of really when you look at last season and some of the factors that went into it. And Canada's got 1 year left. He knows what's on the table. And
I heard a rumor he has 2 years.
I think it's 1 though. It's got to be 1.
I was watching. Who was it? Was it DK? It was somebody that was. It was either DK or Locked On or something of that nature. And they were saying that there's a rumor that it was actually he has 2 years left on his contract, not 1. And a lot of people think because the previous offensive coordinators have been signed to 3-year stints, that they're assuming that Canada was also signed for a 3-year stint, and that may not be accurate.
Yeah, we'll have to look up that number there. Ronald, what's up, man? Appreciate you tuning into the show, bro. Live, appreciate it. How you doing? So Z asks, and if there's anybody in the question, we're gonna kind of start wrapping up here shortly. But if there's anybody in the comment section that wants to throw out a question or a couple questions, stuff like that, feel free. Zach asks, obviously this is probably a troll. Well, this is like a troll comment from him. But would you rather start Mitch or a 40-year-old Big Ben? What would you rather do, Devin?
Here's my question: is it Mitch, who's had a full offseason as a starter, or is it Mitch coming off the bench?
Yeah. I think just generally speaking, I think the Mitch we got last year or 40-year-old Ben.
See, I don't know, because that's a big question, because Panthers game Mitch was a significantly better than Browns game Mitch. I think it's an important question.
I guess you just got to pick your poison. You don't know which one you're going to get.
Oh, shit, give me Big Ben then. Shoot. Feels like the safer option.
But this offensive line, I think Big Ben would do better.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Still, I don't care what anybody says. I'll take Ben. I'll take Ben all day. Ronald says, "What's up to you guys? He subbed your channels. He's a friend of mine back here in PA. Him and his brother, they like to tune in whenever they can as well. So he's giving you guys a shout out. But yeah, so let's go with Devin. How do you feel? Yeah, not that deep. Yeah, Devin, how do you feel about? I know I asked Daniel Marcus. How do you feel about where the Steelers rack up against the rest of the division, and even probably we can even just say the rest of the AFC, because we know the AFC got better. So really, in terms of where you really see the Steelers fit in the AFC, and then kind of where you see them fit in the division, how do you feel about their placing going into the year? Not your prediction or not how you think that they're going to go, but really just heading into the season. What's your kind of feeling on it?
See, I'm feeling like the fight for 1 and 2 in the division is probably going to be Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, I think. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be a really bad season if we finish third. Mm-hmm. I think.
What if they finish third and still get in the playoffs?
Hey, man, if we make the playoffs, that's a different story. Yeah. But with how stacked, and this goes into what we're talking about with the AFC, like how stacked how well is the AFC going to play to the point where we finish third and still make the playoffs, you know? Like, look, I know you got the Jets. I'm probably one of the few people who doesn't have as much faith in Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback overall as a lot of people do. I think he's mildly overrated. He's super talented. One of the most gifted throwers in the football I've ever seen.
It's just he's 39 now, and ultimately,
he's 39.
what can you do? Yeah,
he's 39. I've never really liked his leadership style. Not a very vocal leader in terms of, like, let's say you F up. He's just going to stare at you, give you a death stare. I don't really like that. It's not good leadership. I don't want to trash too much in Aaron Rodgers, but I think the Jets kind of needed a leader at quarterback, and I think they still need a leader at quarterback, even bringing in Aaron Rodgers. Controversial opinion, I know. Personally, I don't care. That's my opinion.
That's okay.
Bengals, they're the Bengals. Obviously, Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Bills are going to be, I'd assume the Bills, I don't know. Maybe they take a regression with the Jets being, I'm sure they're going to be mildly more competent. I'm just trying to think of the divisions off the top of my head. The AFC Chiefs, Bengals,
Yeah, so you got probably Jacksonville in their division.
Jacksonville, they're going to be fun to watch, I think. More continuity, a head coach.
You know who I think is, and Z will agree with me on this, I think the Chargers are the most overrated team. I really do. They get so much hype year in and year out, dude. It's freaking unbelievable. It is. It's unbelievable. I'm not on the Charger bandwagon like probably some others are, but I think when we look at other teams, like in terms of not like number one division guys, like, all right, sure, the Chargers maybe could still like him at Illinois. Denver, I'm not really quite sure in the sense of how Russell Wilson's ultimately going to be. They got a lot better with their coaching. The Ravens are still the Ravens. Are still they didn't really do too much in the offseason, but if they stay healthy, they can still be competitive still. And you got Miami still sticking around too. So AFC definitely got better. But you're pretty confident in the sense of the Steelers being competitive in the North, being competitive for the division, and finding themselves in the middle there of the AFC then.
So you gotta understand how much of a fan of KP I am. Yeah. But I see how hard he works.
I love it. I love it. That's what I want to hear.
We're all seeing how hard he works, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Players in general, but more specifically quarterbacks who work hard get better. There's not many quarterbacks I've seen that work harder than Kenny Pickett. Tom Brady, obviously one of them. I'm putting Joe Burrow up there, Jalen Hurts, And look at all of them. Not necessarily the greatest thing in the world year one, but year two and beyond, they got better every single time. Jalen Hurts, even Mahomes, honestly. Brady, that dude's just on another level of work ethic. Kenny's showing a lot of those same signs, and it makes me really confident in him.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if you guys seen the articles. This man's going into the practice facility, study film before the sun even came up. Leaving, the sun's already gone, Yeah. There all day. He's a film junkie. I'm a big fan of that, Like I pointed out, I'd like to, obviously I'm a little biased here, But in the same sense, I kind of pointed out when I thought Big Ben played bad. I pointed out when Mitch Trubisky played bad, And when Kenny plays bad, I've done my best to point it out. I just got a lot of faith in him as a quarterback, as a leader. In his rookie year, he's making all kinds of high-level NFL throws, showing a lot of high-level, quarterback traits. I got a lot of faith in him taking a big year two leap as a quarterback. Obviously, the line got better. That's only going to help him. Got a lot of new weapons. I think the Steelers are going to be a fun team at the very least.
Yeah.
So the biggest question, I agree. Though, Devin, is the Kenny Pickett wig, is it going to be coming back out this year?
Well, Danny, I got a surprise for you.
This is for everybody in the chat. This is for Z. This is for everybody.
There it is.
Oh my god! Unbelievable.
Kenny Pickett season, y'all.
It's Kenny Pickett season.
Unbelievable. Do you wear that during the games?
I do not. I wear it during Halloween.
During Halloween time. Yeah, who you're going around. That's incredible. That really is. That's freaking
I forgot
amazing.
It was a wig.
That was the question on everybody's mind.
Dude, man. You got to wear that week one at the stadium.
We'll see. It gets a little hot. You know how hot it can get in September.
That's absolutely fantastic, dude. We have KP on the live stream.
Got Kenny Pickett on the live stream. Howdy, y'all.
That's amazing, dude. That you got to leave it on till we end this.
Yeah, say less. Leave what on? This is my hair.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious. I can't believe you brought that out. That is great. But I agree with you on I'm a big fan of a lot of different things that Kenny does. And yeah, I know, Ron. I know, dude. He thinks the Ravens are going 17-0 as he does every single year. So but yeah, there's a lot of different things about Kenny I really like, and a lot of things that I thought that he did, like I said, that I'm encouraged about with him going into next year. Yeah, Brian says now you got to wear that. You got to wear that every game.
I'll bring it with me.
Devin, if you wear that week 1, and then let's say you start wearing it as a superstition type thing, and they never lose, will you ever take it off?
No.
Oh my God, it's so great. That's absolutely amazing. So, all right. So I guess we'll one more thing I'll ask both of you, and then we'll go into our kind of record predictions for the Steelers, early season record predictions, and really just kind of final thoughts on them as they not quite ready to head in the season, but we can kind of say training camps about a month and a half away, stuff like that. Because they usually start going around middle of July, right? It's usually when they kind of start going down there.
Yeah. Around July.
Okay. So we're almost at the end of May, so we can say about a month and a half. Who are a couple guys this season, Daniel, that you are really ultimately excited about, or that, and you can just name me a couple, 2, 3 off the top of your head, that you think are going to be could be breakout guys, or could be guys that have even been in the league for a little bit. Just that you're confident in really having a nice season. Not like a TJ who we know what he's going to do every year, or Minka, or people like that, but some guys who are maybe new to the team, or younger guys who you're hoping to really take a step forward, who are a couple guys at the top of your head you're looking forward to hopefully doing that.
Well, one's probably going to be Kelly Holcomb. I think that when it comes to Holcomb, he's replacing Miles Jack and Devin Bush, 2 guys that were not the most. Well, I'll say they were a little bit disappointing last season. And when the entire room gets replaced outside of Mark Robinson, that tells you something. I mean,
you got the name right. You got the name right.
I did get the name right this time.
There you go.
And so, you got the entire room replaced, from Jerry O to Miles Jack to Devin Bush. Even what was his name? Marcus Allen. He's no longer on the team. Yeah. So, when you have the change like that, that tells you a lot about how confident that the Pittsburgh Steelers were in that, when it came to that room or that group. And so we should expect to see some improved play from our middle linebackers that are now there. And so I think with Holcomb, he's a guy that I'm excited to see play. I'm not sure if K1 ended up signing or not, but I want to see that middle linebacker group and that middle linebacker room perform. That's something that I think that we've needed to see. And then also sticking on the defensive side, Larry Ogunjobi is a guy that was dealing with a lot of injuries last season. So him coming in this year, having a full training camp and off season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and possibly even more healthier than he's been the entire season last year, I think that's going to bode well for him and the defensive line. So I'm going to stick with the defensive side and go with those 2 guys. I'm looking at Larry Ogunjobi and Holcomb as being guys that can do something.
Okay. Yeah, I think those are both good, and those are just a couple guys. It's not all Daniel's guys or anything. I'm sure Daniel, there's probably a few other guys you could probably put in there too. But Devin, what about you? A couple guys, 2, 3 guys up top of your head that you're excited to kind of see and think that they'll take a nice either kind of leap forward in their young career, or somebody that's been around the league that the Steelers have brought in that you think will be a good addition.
I'm excited for Deontay Johnson. I know a lot of people don't like him. I got more faith in him than a lot of people. He works really hard,
Yeah.
And based on what I'm saying, I think y'all can tell I love a guy with good work ethic, Deontay is one of those guys, dude's working hard every day.
Yeah.
I think he'll get better. Last year was kind of a fluke year, in my opinion. Obviously, he wasn't amazing, like 0 touchdowns, it's one thing, but you know, he was still relatively productive when he was running forwards. Another guy, you know, I'm kind of excited to see what Keanu Neal does, which, by the way, earlier when I was talking about rookies, was I saying Keanu Neal?
No. You were saying Benton. Yeah, you
okay,
were saying
good. Just
Benton.
making sure. Because I saw someone in the comments talking about Neal. I was like, wait, was I talking about Keanu Neal? Yeah. I'm excited for Keanu Neal. I don't know about excited, but I'm excited to see what they can do with him. Because obviously, you know, you lose Terrell Edmonds, right? Mm-hmm. And he was kind of your not linebacker, obviously. I think he probably should have played more linebacker, but that's another podcast for another day.
Yeah.
But with Keanu Neal, Minkah Fitzpatrick, DeMonte Casey, I'm excited to see what they do with that. Obviously, they want to stick around with the experimenting with the 3 safety sets. You know, obviously, you don't have much of a slot corner anymore. You got what's his name, Chandon Sullivan, which I don't know anything about him. I haven't heard good things about him, frankly. I'm kind of excited to see if they kind of roll with the 3rd safety as more of a pseudo slot corner. That's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I mean, another guy off the top of my head, I want to see what Najee can do with this new offensive line.
Yeah, you would imagine he'd be a pretty happy camper.
I'd imagine. I don't know. How long will it take for the left side of that line to gel? I mean, you're bringing in Isaac Seumalo and then Broderick Jones, I think, who, like I said, I think will start day one. My question is, will they gel right away? How long will that take? I don't know. But once they do gel, this is going to be a fun running game to see.
It should be good. And Daniel can testify that I said that really a big thing I wanted to see in the offseason was an upgrade on the left side, and they did that on both sides. And that should make a lot of people excited. Claudia said
you were talking about your body. I didn't know you were talking about the team.
Wait, what?
He said I wanted an improvement on the left side.
The left side of my body. Yeah, the left side of my body. Yeah, it's a little smaller than the right, so I wanted to bulk up a little bit. Claudia says Trice or Porter might play the slot. I don't see Porter being a slot guy. I think he's probably going to be outside. Levi Wallace maybe could find us in there. But I told Daniel, I said I could see it being maybe a little bit more of a rotational type thing in the slot. Like it might not just be one key guy that they use there. Maybe that they decide, like what you said, Devin, they could try that direction that you talked about. Or maybe there's a couple guys that they would have in there. I don't really quite know because I don't think there's anybody solidified yet for that spot. Who knows ultimately? I think Pickens is going to have a nice year too. I think he's going to become Kenny's favorite target on offense. And I think that he's going to have a nice year too. I look for things there. I hope DJ has a bounce back year. But Daniel, kind of like you, I'm excited to see what Cole Holcomb can do. I hope that I don't think that the inside linebacker groups like that this is going to be the thing where like, oh, they finally found it or anything. But I think it will be better than what it was last year. I think that you're going to see Cole Holcomb and Roberts be able to actually get off blocks, be able to be a lot better in terms of stopping the run compared to what Miles Jack or especially Devin Bush were able to do. So I'm kind of excited maybe what Holcomb can bring to the table. And I have to say, I've always liked Patrick Peterson ever since he's been in the Cardinals. I'm excited to see him out there. I hope that
I have another name.
A few passes. Who's that?
I have another name that could be interesting. So some breaking news, kind of. The Steelers are officially signing wide receiver Hakeem Butler from the XFL.
Oh, so they added him now.
Interesting to see what he does. Yeah,
they added him now. Okay, I remember when he was drafted, the Cardinals took him.
Yeah, and then
I think in the 3rd round.
I didn't hear about him until I've heard of him when he went to the Cardinals. I kind of forgot about him, to be honest, until I saw his name pop back up with the Steelers. Yeah. But that's
leading
official
the XFL in touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
be interesting to see.
Like another guy in camp he's getting an opportunity. He's getting another opportunity, so that might see what happens. We'll see if anything comes to fruition with Kawan Alexander. I know Kyle Van Noy's been a name thrown out there. We'll see what happens, but I think all three of us and pretty much every Steeler fan in the chat, and I think most Steeler fans, that we can all say that there's a lot to look forward to this year. And I told Daniel this on the last episode that not just even for this year, but I think even for the longer term, future wise, like I think their window has started to open a little bit, and I think it's going to keep opening up as the seasons go on. I do. 100%. I think that, and we look at once teams' quarterbacks retire, that was really the big question last year was, okay, how long is it going to take for the Steelers? It didn't even take a full year.
Right.
And that's all you got to know about the organization. It didn't even take a full year. Mm-hmm. So That's really a big thing that I think that just really a big for the organization, for how they're ran as a team. There's no rebuild. There's no rebuild, guys. There's no rebuild. So I think the Steelers, I'm just really excited about their future overall and what they have going down the line. I'm excited for this season. I think that they can really make a lot of improvement this year. I think that they can make a name for themselves this season. And I think that, like I said, for all of us, I think there's a lot of things for us to be excited about this year. Ron asked real quick, guys, before I get your final predictions and we call it here on the show, what rookie makes the biggest impact year one? We kind of touched a little bit on this, but more so in terms of straight rookie. If we're going to pick one guy, Daniel, who do you think, what rookie this year out of the draft class do you think will ultimately make the biggest impact?
Probably Broderick Jones. I think he's going to probably be the person that's going to get the most playing time. You know, you look at Joey Porter Jr., I think he's going to be a guy that gets put in certain packages and then will be eased into the defense. Benton is a guy that I think is also going to be a guy that's going to be package-based. You know, him being a nose tackle is not really utilized a lot, you know, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, and so depending on the, the package they put out there, the formation, you know, he's going to be, you know, subject to that. And, you know, you have Darnell Washington, who's probably not going to be tight end one. So, you know, you're still going to have Freiermuth is going to be out there ahead of him and probably getting a lot of those looks when it comes to the passing game. I'm sure they'll utilize him in the red zone, and I'm looking forward to that. You know, he's my favorite, you know, pick of the draft just because of the potential that he gains and what the Steelers can do. But, you know, like I said, this draft, everybody kind of compares it to like Christmas. And, you know, when it came to this draft, it was like, you know, you needed linemen, you needed the trenches.
Yeah.
And so you needed the underwear and the socks, so to speak. It's not going to be the flashy toy or anything like that, but it's what they needed to get and they got. And so he may not make the biggest, you know, splash or anything like that on paper because he's an offensive lineman, but I think Broderick Jones is probably going to be the key guy to watch there or have the biggest impact.
All right, Devin, what about you? What one rookie that you think makes the biggest splash this year?
Probably got to agree with Daniel here. Probably Broderick Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, what did we get better at towards the end of the year? It was running the football, and you know, you totally upgraded that left side of the line, especially with Isaac Seumalo, but you know, focusing on rookies, Broderick Jones was clearly a move. Like, hey, Dan Moore is fine, just fine. I think he's a little underrated by Steeler fans. Like Big Ben loves him. Ben knows something I don't apparently. But Dan Moore is just fine. But the Steelers didn't want just fine. They wanted to be good, if not great, at the left tackle position. So they moved up 3 spots to jump the team that wanted Broderick Jones. They went to go get Broderick Jones. They wanted to upgrade from Dan Moore to Broderick Jones. They clearly believe in him, you know. Like I said, I think he's going to start right away. And like Daniel said, he's an offensive lineman, you know. How much splash is he going to make? None. But he's definitely going to impact the running game. Definitely going to give Kenny Pickett time in the pocket, which, you know, you pair that with his work ethic, his film study. I think it's going to be really fun to see. I think you're not going to hear his name get called a lot, and that's a good thing. You know, you're going to see I'm sure there's going to be a couple really sexy blocks that you don't see until you're scrolling through Twitter after we win the game 49-0, you know. See the big blocks that Broderick Jones made. He's going to be really fun to watch. I don't know if fun to watch is the word because he's a lineman, but he's going to be definitely impactful to this team.
You're going to notice the difference. Yeah, you're going to notice a difference for sure. Like even early on in his rookie year. But yeah, I 100% agree long term. I'd have to say Broderick too, just because of what they ultimately want to do and really the type of stock that they have in him. And I think that's going to be it. But even like JPJ, Darnell Washington, I think both of them will make their mark on a rookie year for them. So let's go into, guys, as we get ready to kind of wrap up here. Let's get into the early season predictions in terms of the Steelers record, where you have them finishing in the division. Do you think that they are a playoff team this year, where they were very close to getting it last year after a very bad start? So, Daniel, we'll start with you, man. What is your early season not final, but early season record prediction for this team after you went through the schedule, everything that you kind of feel about the team, et cetera, et cetera. So what's your thought on that?
Well, first, just to add on to Big Ben liking Dan Moore, he also liked Ryan Switzer very much, and that
he
wasn't.
He did.
So, he was a good quarterback. Maybe not the best adjuster of talent around him. But when it comes to this season, I know a lot of teams or a lot of people are looking at this, the AFC, looking at it being very difficult. A lot of folks looked at the AFC West that way. A lot of people thought that the Raiders and the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Broncos, their entire division were somehow going to make the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And we're going to win 12 games each, but not really accounting that they have to play each other. The Steelers don't play a lot of those heavy hitters from the AFC. They're not playing the Chiefs. They're not playing, the Bills or any of those teams. They have a pretty significantly less difficulty schedule that they did last season. And so with all that being said, I'm going to say that they're going to go 12-5 and be a real contender for the North and definitely make the playoffs this season.
Okay. I like it, man. I really do. Hopefully you don't change your mind on that prediction unless the win total goes higher before the season starts. So. Devin, what about you, man? What's prediction? Playoffs, yes or no? Is this team going to be better than it was last year?
Playoffs, yes. Better than last year, yes. I think one thing I don't like doing is giving one record prediction, But I'll say this. I like the floors and ceiling idea. I think our absolute worst, especially given the schedule, I think the absolute worst we could do is 10 wins, Ceiling, looking at the schedule, look, I know I'm a biased as hell Steeler fan, but if we stay on task, run the ball really well, I don't think it's going to happen, but I could see this team going 14-3. I don't think it's going to happen. I think I have the humility to say that. That'd be incredible. That'd be incredible. But I want to say probably 12 wins is my guess. If I was putting money on it.
I've seen people with a ballpark around 10 to 12. And I think that's a good ballpark to be around. So with them winning 9 games last year, I think this is a better team than last year in a lot of different areas. I think they had the best offseason they've had in quite some time. I like 11 wins. I could say 10 right now. And again, it's just early season. It could mindsets and predictions before the season starts, all that kind of stuff. I'll rock with 11. I'm confident in the offense taking a step forward. I'm not saying it's going to be a top 10 offense, but pretty confident with Kenny going into year 2. I think we're going to see even more from him and more upward trajectory from him. Very excited about them running the football. And as long as they can stay healthy defensively, I don't see why it can't be a defense that gets back to what it was. So, and especially when you look at their schedule, I'm not necessarily a huge guy on the sense of schedule, but the schedule is lighter. The schedule's better. And especially with certain quarterbacks they got to face, I think it definitely helps Steelers a lot and favors them. I'll say around 11 right now. I think that's a good ballpark for them. I think that they'll be competitive in the North this year as well. So, but I'm very excited just overall for this season. And like I said, I think that they have a really good thing going for them long-term and future-wise. So, but yeah, so Daniel's got 12 wins as an early season prediction for the Steelers making the playoffs. Daniel, do they win the division at 12 wins?
They're going to be in competition for it. I think it's going to come down to, I think they got a good chance. I don't want to say yes or no just because, the Cincinnati Bengals are a tough team. They're going to be a tough team to go up against. And I know that makes, Mark's head spin, hearing good things from the Bengals. But, at the end of the day, you got to give them credit. Yeah, you got to give them credit. I feel that it could be back to reality for them. They've lost some key pieces on defense. And so, and when Burrow is getting hit, at least against the Steelers, he does struggle. He's had a lot of turnovers against the Pittsburgh Steelers when getting hit and when there's pressure on his face. And so I think that the Steelers will have that opportunity, and I think they could do it. Will they do it? we'll see. We'll see. I think there's a lot of things that have to come into play. You know, they got the pieces. They just got to work together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do. And that's going to be when you really look at the offseason they had, some of these guys really coming in to help bolster this team. We'll kind of see how long it really kind of takes. But ultimately, knowing the Steelers, how Tomlin does this thing, and there's a lot to be excited about. So and then Devin said around 12. I said around 11. All that stuff can obviously change as we get closer to the season with the win total going higher. But guys, we're gonna end it. We're gonna end it on that, guys. Very good show here today with all four of us. Mark had to leave a little bit earlier for those who tuned in later. Mark Davison was on the show from Steelers Nation Australia. I believe he's doing a live tonight, or he could be live now. So give him a look over there. It was good to have him back. Devin, it was good to have you back on the channel, man. It was good to have you back on the show. We appreciate it. You know, you're always welcome here. We'll have you back on the show as we even get closer to the season for more Steelers stuff to talk about. So everybody in the chat, give Devin a follow at the Here We Go show. As you see in his name right there, it is also in the description of the video where to follow Devin at. He posts Steelers content a lot, most that he can. You post usually, or how often do you post content right now?
So I totally changed up the format of my YouTube channel. It used to be more, discussion videos. But then I totally shifted to player life stories. So you want to see some really high quality, stories you've never heard about your favorite players. Mm-hmm. I've got one on Kenny, GP, Najee, Juju. I know a lot of people didn't like that one.
I think I saw the one on Kenny before that you put up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's real high quality content in my opinion, my humble opinion. Yeah. And I'm working on one on TJ. I'm in school right now. It's been hard to find time to work on it, but
it is. Your school, work, whatever it is. It's hard to, unless YouTube's like your job, pretty much. It's hard to create time to put content. But yeah, guys, follow him over there. He puts Steelers content up. He's kind of doing a little bit of a different thing over there with some guys on the team and stuff like that he was talking about. So give him some support over there, guys. He'll be back on the show as well. You guys know where to follow Daniel at if you have not. State of the Steelers. And also follow his show, the Drunk Turkey Show, guys. They like to, they have a really big following over there. They've grown a lot. So if you guys have not supported that channel, give them support as well, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Each and every one of you, Claude, Ron, Afton, George, the list goes on, Z, Brian, both Brians, Jennifer, Steelers fan, Mrs. J. The list goes on, guys. Ali, Afton, everybody, guys. So for all those who are always here and returning, for those who are new, welcome, guys. Thank you all so much. We'll be back on, I don't know, Daniel, we'll probably be back. We'll probably plan on being back next Tuesday on your channel, right?
Yes, sir. We'll see you there.
So So next Tuesday, guys, that's the plan for episode 43 of the Unofficial Steelers podcast on Daniel's channel, guys. So, hopefully we'll meet you over there next Tuesday. But all you guys in the chat, thank you all so much for putting your thoughts and your comments and interacting, guys. We all appreciate each and every one of you guys for being a part of the show. And again, just a big thank you to Devin coming on the show again. Good having you, man, back on. You'll be back on again. And Daniel and I will be back next Tuesday, guys. So, but again, give them a follow, guys. At the end of the day, we're all on the same team here. We all want to see this team succeed. We all want to see we all want to see this team win another Super Bowl, guys. So we're all excited about the year. A lot of things to be excited about this season, guys. But that's going to do it, guys. Thank you all for your support. We will see you next Tuesday.
Welcome to the Unofficial Steelers podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host from In Hindsight, Nathan Heitz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J.